Okay, so how many of you can hear me loud and clear? How many of you can hear me loud and clear? Let me see a hand. All right, beautiful. Okay, so I said that before now we are creating our we are creating variables, and when we create variables we use the type to determine to define the variable we are creating. So different variables, different types. So this is my number. We are using the unsigned integers for this variable. This string, we are using string literals for these variables, and this bool, we are using boolean for these variables. Okay, so we are going to be talking about enums today. So if you are just joining us, we are talking about enums today. So enums are methods of creating our own limited types, our own custom types. Okay, so we are not going to be using uints, we are not going to be using string, we're not going to be using bool. We are going to be creating our own custom types. All right, so that's what um enums is all about. Okay, so key things to note about enums is that enums are useful for representing a fixed set of options and states in your smart contracts. That's one. Secondly, they improve code readability and reduce the chance of errors caused by incorrect value assignments. And then thirdly, enums can be declared inside contracts or at the global level outside of any contract. Okay, and then for enum values must be unique within the enum definition. All right, so okay, so we are going to be giving an example. So let's say, for example, I want to let me create a contract. Let me get a contract. Let me call it learn enum. Okay, for example, let me call it enum. Okay, so let's say, for example, I want to create a list of um should I say activity, let's say active, for example. Okay, so let's say we are creating, okay, this is the syntax for enum. Syntax for enum is enum, the name of the variable you are using. Let's say, let's call it states, for example, and let's say we open our curly brace, and so this is how to create your enum. So what you put inside of this curly brace is going to be your options. All right, so let's say we say waiting, waiting, correct, yeah, inactive and active. All right, so this is my enum. I just created a state. Now this state now becomes my what's it called, my type, my custom type. All right, so this state now works as your uint, your boolean and integer. So let's see how it works. Okay, all right, so we created three three states. Created the waiting, we created the inactive, and we created the active. All right, so let us remember constructor, and we said that constructor does what? Initialize state variables. Okay, so um this guy now is now a state variable. So let us initialize this guy. All right, so let's initialize this guy. So why are we initializing it? Because we want to create a constant, like a default choice. All right, so what this thing does is that it gives us options. All right, so enums can be used to write contrast for options. So what we're going to be doing with enums today is going to be writing contrast or options. So let's say that we're writing constructor, and then we're going to make this constructor to um, default our choice. So I'm going to say states is equal to the same way we used to do in other of our contracts, but this time we are going to be all right. So what did we do here? All right, so we just initialize our state variable, which is waiting. Okay, so what we told this contractor to do is that we say that state, this small letter state, is our variable. Okay, let me use this as an example. It's like saying that we have, you'll be familiar with this unit. Um, my age. Okay, so come here and say age is equal to my age. All right. So when we are writing in constructor, when we are writing this other one, we say my age is equal to age. Okay. So now age is what we have called inside our constructor, which, for example, we want to get our constructor. Let's say we are writing our constructor for my age. Remember how we do it. We will come here and declare age here. Okay, that means we are having an input. We are getting an input here. All right, so we are getting an input here, and we are saying that this input is equal to this my age outside. I hope we all remember how we wrote our constructor like that. But this one, we are not getting any inputs. We are only returning the state of the contract. So hence we are not putting any input. We are just saying that this state is equal to state.waiting. All right, so we are saying that this state is our state here, which is our variable type, and the waiting is the choice we are getting from our variable type. All right, so let's write a function to set our choices. Okay, so let's say that we write function. Let's call this one activate. Okay, so before you deactivate, you activate. Let's call this one activate. All right, so we're not getting any inputs. So let's just call this guy public. And so let's set this guy to state. So our state is equal to state dot active. All right, so let's write a function to deactivate. So say that function deactivate activate the same thing. We're not returning anything. So let's say this guy and state is equal to state, same thing, dot inactive. All right, so we deactivate it. Okay, so now let's return. Now we cannot, I'll show you something, but let me just write this function. Let's return a Boolean. Okay, so let's return a Boolean so that if we say active, if we click active, it's going to show yes, it's active. But if it's not active, it's going to show false, it's not active. Okay. All right, so let's see public view returns. We're going to be returning bool, so let's return bool. All right, so when we return, we're going to, now there are two ways of writing this. Okay, so there are two ways of writing this. So we can say if state is equal to state.active, okay, return true. Else return false. All right, so let's see if we have any error. Okay, so we've got quite some errors here. Oh, Jesus. Okay, so let me just check. I think I'm having typographical errors. So let me. Okay, let me see. Mm, 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 kind of new state or type state. So okay, so let me just fix this, guys. You guys just taking me back and forth, back and I think I'm having typographical error, so let me just figure it out.
I think the first state is with small letter. I don't know.
Yeah, let me sort it out. I think one of my states is having typographical error, so let me just fix that. And okay. Oh, sorry. All right, so we are supposed to declare a state variable. Okay, so we are supposed to declare a state variable. If you notice that this state here, there is no way I have I have actually called this state. So this state is not anywhere. I've not declared that state before. You understand? So let me declare the state. So this is going to be states. Let me make it public, and then let me make it call it state. All right. So see how it goes. Okay. See. Now the error I had was that for you to call anything your function, it must have been either a local variable or a state variable. Now I'm saying here that state is oversight. I thought I've called it outside as a state variable. So this guy, this state now that we are having here is actually the state that is here as a data type for this state that we are calling here as our state variable. Okay, so after declaring our state variable, we come here and then use our state variables in our functions. Okay, so we are saying that this state variable here is equal to this guy. The same way I was trying to explain the other time to us that when you say my age outside and then you come to your constructor and then you write a constructor to work on to initialize your state variable. Okay, so what we did here was just to define our data type, and then what we did here is to state our state variable using this data type we have created, state. All right. Now, after doing that, we use this constructor to initialize this state variable to wait. Understand? So when I run my contracts, let me deploy. So if I deploy this contract and you see that if I click on state, you are going to see 0. Now, why are you seeing 0 instead of waiting or instead of inactive or active? Now, the output is based on the index of these our state variables. Okay, the output is this. Remember, yes, last class when I was talking about arrays, I said that arrays are displayed by index. What I mean by index is that I said that if we have 1, 2, 3, and then 4, for example, according to index, this one is 0. Okay, so 1 is 0. So say 1 is 0, 2 is 1, 3 is 2, 4 is 3. Okay, so this is how index work. All right. So the first number is 0, the second number is 2, the third number is 3, the fourth number is sorry, the second number is 1, the third number is 2, and then the fourth number is 3. Here we get. Okay, so that's how index work. All right, so let's see how it works. Let me put it to practice so we'll see what I'm talking about. So according to this contract, we said that we set our default to waiting, which is 1, and we wrote a function to activate 2, and then we wrote a function, sorry, 3, and then we wrote a function to activate 2. So if we call this active function, is going to be active. If we call this other function, this deactive function is going to be inactive. Okay, so what this guy is saying is that this function is saying is that if our state is active, it should be true. But if it's not active, if it's inactive, and if it's waiting, it should be false. Okay, so let's say this guy is 1, this guy is 0 now, which is waiting. And then we activate. If we click on active, and then we come and check at our state, it's going to show 2. Now 2 is active. Remember I said 0, 1, and 2. So 2 is active. If I deactivate it and then I come to my state, it's going to be 1, which is inactive. All right, so let's look at the Boolean function we wrote, which is active. If I click on this, is active, it's going to show false. Why? Because it's in 1, which is inactive. So if I activate it and come to, is it active? I click on it, it's going to show me true, that the contract is active, the state is active. If I deactivate it, it's going to show false. If I activate it, it's going to show true. Okay, so there is no way we are going to be activated. We didn't write any function to get weight, so definitely we cannot get 0 again, because that's the initial state of the contract until activities start going on. Do we understand? So you see that.
Good evening, sir.
So we see that.
Good evening, sir.
Okay.
Please, can I ask question?
Sir, we
I
don't
didn't hear.
understand though.
Can I ask? Can I ask
Yes.
question?
You can ask question. You can ask question.
Okay, so I want to try and explain what I understand by what you're saying and what I don't really get there. First off, you started with enum state what, like, I don't really get your enum, what the enum is doing first off. Then the state, the waiting, inactive, active. I don't think I've gotten any of that parts first off. Then going to the constructor has state dot waiting. I can't see any use of the constructor in your function. And aside that, this state public state. So is it like this, because normal would have you hint something, then public to be this, like, so is it like this this is a data type now, like, what data type are we calling this state now? I don't know if you get my question, sir.
Okay. Yes, I guess your question. We should whoever who else have a question? Sorry.
I've not been understanding from the beginning of this class.
Okay. Who else have a question again? Okay, so let
Question,
me
I
say,
second, I
yes,
second,
yes.
please.
Okay.
You have
Let
already
me
asked
Me
me
start.
the question.
too.
Let me start afresh. Okay, so I said that enums are ways of creating our own custom data types. Just as the way we have uints, okay, just the way we have um like we have uints. Abi, this is a data type here. Okay. String. This is a data type here. Oh, this is a data type here. Why am I making this mistake? This is a data type, yes, and so on and so forth. Okay, so now this data type collects unsigned integers. So let's say we have my name, my age. Understand? So this guy can get unsigned integers, which is, let's say, 50, for example. Same with my name. which this one can get unsigned integer, and then sorry, string literals, and then this one can get my answer. Sorry, true. Okay, now we understand this, right? That we created a variable and we used an already existing data types to define our variables. And then this definition of variables determine or defines the kind of data that can be stored inside our variables. So this guy is our variable, you understand? And then these guys are data stored in this variable. Now the data type, the type of that's why they call it data type. So the data type is the kind of data you can store in this variable. We understand that part, yeah? Now, this data type is what defines the variable, the data stored in the variable. She get. Now, what we did here is that we use enum to create our own data type, whereas state now becomes our data type, and this state becomes our variable altogether. So we say that state becomes our data type, and just like the way we said this guy, that's how we can also say uint public my age. Do you understand? Do you understand?
Yes, sir. Yeah, with you.
You understand? Okay, you understand to this part. How many of us understand to this part? Chidera, do you understand to that part? To this part? Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, good. Now let's continue. Now, when you are writing enums, like I said that enums are like data types used to write choices. Let's say sets of data. You understand? You are creating a data type, and the kind of data in this data type is this. Now, these are the data that can be in this data type. So we can proudly say that state is equal to active. Okay, because these are the data that we said will be that can be added to values from this data type. So this is the data type, this is the variable, and this is the data, and we declare this data in this place when we are declaring our data type. Are
Sir,
we
can I
together?
ask a question?
Yes, please do.
Okay. This waiting inactive and active, is it just like bool when you are saying true or false?
Exactly. So when you say bool, the only data in bool that you can the only data you can add in the data type, in the boolean data type, is true and false. Are we together? Are we together? So
Yes, sir.
if I say bool, the only data here is true or false. Now, the same way we created our own data type, which is state, and we said the only, as long as this contract is concerned, the only data that can be used by this data type is waiting, inactive, and active. Are we together? Are we together? Huh?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Good. So that's how we created our own data type using enum. All right. So we are creating our own customized data types using enum. And then we are saying that this data type can carry this set of data. And we said the data is waiting, inactive, and active. It's like saying we are creating a choice. Let's say you are creating a um, two shoe sizes, okay? Or let's say you are creating a color collection. Okay, so when you create a color collection for people to choose from your colors, let's say you have red, blue, white, and yellow. Okay, so for people to choose your this thing, your color, we created a data type for that color, and then we make that data type, we call that data type color, and then we said this data, as long this contract is concerned, the set of the colors in this data is going to be red, green, and yellow, for example. And so when we say choose color, when you call that data, when you let's say you say color as the data type, and then you say flag, and that flag is equal to green, white, and green. You understand? Now it's like saying Ewing, my age is 23, 25, 26. Okay, so those guys are of the same data stored in my age because they are of the same data type with unsigned integers. They are unsigned integers. Okay, so that's how we are saying that this waiting, inactive, and active, they are data of states because we created this data type now. Now this is our own customized data type. So this is a way of creating a customized data type in Solidity using enum. Any question? That's chapter 1. Any question?
Sir, just work some just a clarification, not really question. Now, this data
Okay.
type, I understand is like a true for something. If it's like you've created our own data type, right? So now if I now want to like
Yeah.
translate it like to this usual one that we have, the int, my age, and all those things. Let me just I'm coming on. So it will be something like bull. So the state won't be needed, yes. Like maybe bull waiting equals true, or bull, is it something like that? Or if I'm to transform it back to something like the usual one we do have. I don't know if you get me.
Okay.
Just like, or which one? Okay.
Okay. Now, when you say inactive, now these inactives, these guys are not data. You understand? So these guys are not data. These guys are data here because we made them data under states. Okay. Now this is it. Let's say, for example, we are not using enum, and we want to create these guys. How is it possible to create this guy? First of all, waiting is a string. Okay, we want to we will now be saving waiting as a string. This waiting guy now is not a number. You understand? This waiting guy is not a true or false, so it's definitely going to fall under string altogether. So let's say you are coming out to write string. Say for example, you are writing you are creating you are creating string, and you are saying states, for example. Okay, let me call it states, for example, and you're saying this guy is equal to inactive. This is not going to fly. Okay, let me comment it. so that all right. This is not going to fly because this one is not an action. This one is just a string, just like set of alphabets. Understand? But you see this guy we have declared here. These guys are not sets of alphabets. These guys have become an action, a variable. You understand? So the same thing that this guy does, the same thing that your 5 does to when you assign 5 to a uint variable, that's the same thing that this guy will do when you assign this guy to a state variable, like this to a state, to this your state variable type that you just created. Okay, so it makes some certain things that you can't do. So instead of you to try to go through that many routes, you just create a particular state variable, a particular customized data type for a particular function. So you said, okay, this one is for this one, and it's going to do this one. Remember our definition here. It says that limited set of values, limited set of values. It said they allow you to create custom types with a limited set of values. Custom types with a limited set of values. Remember, your unit is not limited. It's not a limited set of value. You can have billions of number inside that unit. It's not limited. Your strings are not limited. The only one that I know that is very definite is your boolean. Okay, but when you're creating your customized data type, you give it a limited set of values, like what we did here. Now these guys become our values. These guys become our values. That is why we can use it here. 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 Okay, that's why we can call it in our if statement. That's why we can set it here. That's why we can set it here. That's why we can set it here. All together. So that is it for declaring our customized variables. A data type. Okay, so that's what this state does. This state can be anything. All right, this state I can declare anything to be my customized variables. I can say this guy is food, and give some list of food and make my choices. Okay, so we're going to do some other examples, and then other example, and then we're going to see what it actually works. Okay, so that's for that. I mean, delete this guy so that my code needs. Okay, so this guy, let me comment it now. Okay, so your question is, what's the need of my constructor if I don't see any use of this constructor in my functions? Yeah, that was your question, Abi.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, let me tell you why I wrote the constructor. Remember, we got we got we got um 3 options. We got 3 options, and then we said that these 3 options are are choices. Okay, we said that these 3 options are choices. Now we wrote a constructor to initialize the options. So we said that whether you choose or not, that we use the constructor to initialize it so that our first option is going to be on waiting. Sure you get. So the first option is going to be on waiting, and then users can now make other choices, but there's going to be always be a default choice. And then by so that when we deploy our contracts, when we deploy our contract and okay, so when we deploy our contract, we've not done anything here. Okay, remember zero is waiting is zero, inactive is one, and active is two. So if I come and click at this the state, if I come and look at the state of uh, our state, you're going to see that it's zero. Okay, zero. That means our default choice is waiting, waiting for action. All right. So we use the constructor to make our default choice or our default state. Okay. Now, after that, we can now say we are activating or we are deactivating and all that and all that. Okay, let's say for example, you check your Go TV. All right, you on your Go TV or you on your DSTV or you on your 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 satellite TV, any of your satellite TV you have. Okay, the first channel you are going to see is channel one. Abi, the default channel, the advert channel, the Go TV or DSTV channel adverts where they tell you they advertise DSTV and DSTV. Okay, that is it. How do we initialize that and make that guy default? So you will not just come and see blank space and then start searching for channel. You will see a default channel. So this constructor, what this constructor does is to create that default channel, that channel one. All right. So we made our guy here, our waiting, our channel one. So when you come and click on state, that's the first thing you're going to see before you start activating or deactivating. So when I activate, I'm going to see two. When I deactivate, I'm going to see one. You see that there is no place for waiting because there's no need. Okay, that's one second. That's why we do not write a function for waiting. But there's no need to be waiting. What the user should be doing here is to either activate or deactivate. But if the user is coming for the first time, the default station is going to be waiting. All right, you are waiting for your action. So yeah, what action is that you activate or you deactivate? Any other question? Okay, so that is the reason why we use the constructor. Now, let me go through the code again. All right, so let me go through the code again. Now, we understand how we wrote this constructor here. We understand how we declared our customized data type. Okay, we understand how we declared our data type, and then we understand this line of code declaring our state variable. All right, so what the constructor is doing is initializing the state variable, not the um data type. We are initializing the state variable, so we are saying that this our state variable is this. Okay, is waiting, and then this waiting with the data type of this. So this is the data type of waiting. This is the value, and this is the data type. So we are saying that this guy is equal to this altogether. Okay, so now we now wrote a function to activate, to set activity, to say that okay, this function, this one is to activate it. So we said that state, which is our state variable here, is equal to state.active. Now this state is our guy here, you understand, our data type. And then this active here is the value that we have set in our data type. Okay, so that is it for active. And then deactivate, still the same thing, no changes, still the same thing here. Okay, and then we write an if statement to check whether it's active or it's inactive. It's active, you throw back false. It's inactive, throw back. If it's active, you throw back true. If it's inactive, you throw back false. All right. So you can write these this guy like this, or you can decide to write it like this. Okay, let me just comment this one out and say, and we can say return. What are we returning? We're returning states, and okay, so we are returning state, and we are saying that state is equal to this guy. Now you see that what we wrote here is the same thing with what is inside this guy here. No different. Now, if I run this code, it's still going to give me the same output. So let me deploy. Let me deploy this code. All right, so let me activate and see. You see, it's still giving me true. If I deactivate, it gives me false. If I activate, it gives me true. If I deactivate, it gives me false. Sorry, it gives me false. Okay, all together. So that is that. All right. So this case statement is still the same thing with this guy, just that this guy is just a shorter way of writing this guy. Okay, all together. Okay, so let us, if we, any question? Any question? I am waiting. No, any question?
Sorry, Miss Bella, is your name like your full name Bella Ude?
Beulah. Beulah. Yes.
All right, so we are good, yeah? Are we good? Do we understand? We
Yes, sir.
understand. Hmm? Do we understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let us do this other one together. So let's do one more example together. Okay, so let's do one more example together. Let me create a contract. Okay, let me call this contract mm, shoe size. Abi? Let's call this guy shoe size. Okay, so how do we do about it? What's want to create our data type. So how am I going to do it? We want to do the same thing that we did here. All right. We want to create the same contract that we wrote here, but this time we are doing it for true size. Okay. If we understand, I want us to do it together. Okay. I want you to try your best. I want you to crack your edge and don't be scared whether you are wrong. Okay. So just give it your try. I want all of us to have an input on this. So how do I write my data type? What's the syntax for enum?
Enum, then shoe,
Okay.
or probably size.
Okay. Okay. True size. Let us make these guys different. Okay. So that our contract name will not be the same with our this thing. All right, choose size. All right, so let's say this guy is small, Abby.
Small, medium, large.
Small, medium, large. All right. So what do we do next?
Default.
Yeah.
We can make one default. Is it necessary? Is it necessary we always make one default or something?
Like I said, is there any anything you have choose online that there's no default?
Well, maybe medium will be the default, or I don't know. If I don't think there's default.
Before you choose your default, let's discuss whether we are doing default or not, whether we are creating default or not. Okay. So before you do that, you have to declare your state variable. Yeah. So let's declare our state variable, because that's the state variable we are going to be using to calling. We'll be using on this our data type. Sure, you understand.
So
My shoe size is public. My shoe size.
Hmm?
My shoe size is okay. Shoe size is sorry.
shoe size
Public.
public,
Choose size. Okay, we'll make it public so that we can see it, and then
small letter,
small
probably.
show size.
There's
Abi,
S in the first shoe size.
yeah, remember we said that variable types are okay. Naming conventions in Solidity or in programming language are case sensitive. Like this guy and this guy, they are not the same. Why? Because this camel case is different from this camel case. Okay, so because of trying to let's make it easy on us. So let's call it size. Hmm? Choose size, the variable type, the our state variable is size. Altogether, altogether. So let's make it size. Okay, so let's say want to create our this thing, our default. Okay, so how do we write the constructor? Hmm?
Okay, for the default, constructor into brackets.
Okay,
Since it's not returning
constructor.
anything,
Yeah, into brackets.
then the other bracket here, then
And I will say what? I'll say our
shoe
size
size equals to shoe
equals
size
to shoe size
dot.
dot medium. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Good. Beautiful.
Okay, so what if we don't want to make anyone like defaults? Is it
Yes,
possible?
you can just remove the constructor. So the use of the constructor is just to make it the default.
So
So
we will
even if
now have
you
like
don't want to make it,
three headers or something.
yeah, even if at this particular point we are still going to have three functions to get those mediums. So remember our first contract, we could only get two. We could not get the first one because that's our initial state, and that one somebody cannot come and be choosing waiting. You understand? Is it that they choose activate or they choose deactivate? You get, so that's why we just wrote two functions. So let's write function to get choose size. So let's write function to get, let's say, um set um
Size.
let's say set small. Okay, set small will set the shoe size to small choice. Abi, do you understand?
Yes,
Leave
sir.
my naming
Yeah.
convention. I'm just trying to say, okay, this function is to say user is choosing small. You get, so you click on this button, your choice is small. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we are not doing anything here, so just make it public and pass. So what are we doing here? So how do we set the size to be small?
Then size, or what was okay,
Mm-hmm.
size equals to shoe
Mm-hmm.
size dot small.
Shoe size
Are we going to be returning anything?
dot small. We are not
Small.
returning anything. We are just setting now. We are setting, so shoe size is small. Okay, so we are doing that. We are doing the same thing for medium and large. Yeah. And then function. Sorry. Function set large. Okay, so what if we want to write a function to get, let's make this guy, let's remove this public here. Okay, so we want to write a function to get our shoe size. How are we going to do it? How are we going to write that function?
If statement.
Wrong approach. We just want to return our true size. We don't want to use our state variable to return it. We just want to write our function and say get choice. Let's say we want to write a function and say get choice. So we want to, after you choose, we will now get the choice. We will now go and go to that place and see the choice with your choice. Understand? We'll go to that place and see your choice. So how do we write that function?
Okay, I don't really get the question, but I think if you're asking about function, that means you're probably going to be using if the choice is equal to this, then return this, return choice.
You are
Does it?
making you are overthinking the problem. You are just overthinking the problem. Let me make it easy for you.
We say return,
We wrote we
return.
wrote yeah, we wrote a function to set small, to set our choice to small. That means we wrote a function to say that um this our shoe size now is equal to small. I wrote a function to set our shoe size to be medium. We wrote a function to set our shoe size to be large. Now let's write a function to show to return the output of these our choices. That's what I'm saying. Probably when you set small, the output is going to be small. When you set medium, the output is going to be medium. If you set it to large, the output is going to be large. That's it. Just one function to do that. That's the same thing that when we click on this public now, it's going to show us our shoe size, that okay, this thing has been saved in size, but we don't want it to be on a state variable. We want to write a function that will be displaying it for us instead of it to be showing as a state variable here. So how do we do that? Any idea? Come on, you can do this now. Any idea? All right, so let's write a function. I'm not doing it to continue.
Return
Okay. Um, give it a name now. Which name? Which
Uh,
name?
let me give it get sizes. Let me give it get size. Let me give it get size.
Public view return. Like after the year, public view return.
Public view return. Mm-hmm. Returns.
Then return.
Uh-huh. Return what?
Re- Enter first now.
I've written what they say I should write now. I should return what?
the
Okay.
functions.
Return
Yeah,
strings.
I should return what?
Return strings. Abi?
Why should I return
Yes.
string? Why should I return string?
Because the shoe size is in this thing now.
Is
What's
in
it
what?
called now? It's like a name now.
But we do not use string as a data type here now.
Okay, okay,
and
let's return size.
Size.
return shoe
Size
size.
is like
That's shoe size now.
you are saying return shoe size now, as if you are very sure. Like you know this thing, you just yeah. Sure.
You said we
Okay,
should
so
try now.
okay, calm down, calm down. All right, so remember, always remember that we've already declared our data type here. And I said from the onset that the way your boolean, your string, your whatever is operating, that's how this true size is going to operate. So we are going to return these guys. You have to return shoe size. The shoe size you are returning, not any other data type. Is this data type you are returning? And this data type comprises of small, medium, and large. You get. So I'm going to return shoe size, and then here, what are we going to return?
Set shoe size dot medium equal to
Not
medium.
mm-mm, mm-mm,
Abi?
mm-mm, mm-mm. Nothing like that. Nothing like that. Okay, so we're going to be returning our size here. All right. Okay. So when we deploy this guy now, let's deploy it. Let's see the jargon we've written together. Oh, sorry. Let me show you something. Oh. Come to this contract. If you have written two or more contracts, you understand, you have to always be checking your contract, the one you are deploying. Now, if I click on this one, you see that I have two contracts here. So if I deploy, is the one I deploy here that will deploy. Okay, I cannot be deploying learn enums when I'm expecting true size to be deployed. Okay, so let me deploy true size, and then now you see that our default shoe size is medium, which is 1. Okay, and then if I set large, is going to be 2, which is large. If I set small, it's going to be 1. Sorry, 0, which is small. If I set medium, it's going to be 1, which is medium. Okay, all together.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. So what if we want to write if else statement to show us our distance? And they will say that if the same way we wrote our if statement here and say if let's say for example, okay, this one is out of context, but let's just try something out. All right. the function, and then okay, let's call this one show size. Let's call this one show size, and then we're going to say public u returns. We're going to be returning strings, memory. All right, and then we are going to say, I'm going to say if size is equal to
Shoe size dot small.
show size dot small.
But we already have it as a default. It doesn't really matter, right? You start to write an if statement for it.
All right, I'm coming. See for yourself. Return
Small.
small. Okay. I said
Else
if
if, I
okay,
mean, if else.
else if Abi.
Yes. Abi?
Let's try it. Let's try it. Return
Medium now. But wait, oh,
I'm
no, I don't
coming.
think it's cool.
Okay. Size is equal to size dot medium. Return medium. Yes. Return large. Okay. I'm having many this thing here already. Okay, let me see this guy. Why? Okay. All right. There is deploy. Let's see what we got. Okay, so our shoe size is what? Medium. Abi? Our default shoe size is what? Can you see me? Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
All right, so our default guy is what? Medium, Abi?
Yes, sir.
So if I set small, this guy becomes what? Small. If I set medium, this guy becomes what? Medium. If I set large, this guy becomes what? Large. All together, let's make this guy capital letter M so that the large will show very well. So are we together? Are we together? I've deployed the wrong contract again. So do we understand? If I do large now, it becomes large. If I do small, shoe size becomes small. If I do medium, shoe size becomes medium. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Do we understand?
Yes, sir.
Ah, we are more than this. What happened to the rest persons? I just come here now and see that almost everybody has gone out. What happened to the rest persons?
Just one
But we
person left.
are you sure?
We were seven, now we are six.
Okay. So do we
Right.
understand? No, 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 no. I saw the light. I saw
Two
you
people,
know
two
that
people
person
left.
like that.
People left.
Okay. So we understand. Do we understand? Do we understand this? Like look at it very well. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
You understand?
So I want to ask something. All
Okay,
these
please do.
arrays, enums, and all of that. Is it when we want to write like a contract, we are going to use everything?
You're already writing a contract now. Is this not a contract? Okay, you did that last Friday assignment, yeah?
Yes.
That's already a contract. That's a contract. The only difference between that contract and a very main contract is that yours doesn't have functionality. Others could have functionality. You could say, okay, I want to make it more sophisticated. I want to add functionalities to this my contract. I want to make it more secure. I want to make it do more things. Now, the essence of in the process of trying to make it do more things, you'll be using more tools, you'll be using more syntaxes, you'll be using more keywords and all that and all that and all that. You get that is it. You've written a contract. So what we just wrote here is a
Now
contract.
what
All
I
right.
mean is like like a serious contract. You know what I mean now? Not
Okay. Okay.
yeah. One
Yes.
contract
Yes.
use
Yes.
all
Yes.
the
Yes.
at
Yes.
the same
Yes.
time.
Yes. You will not use everything at the same time. It's like when they teach you um alphabet, 26 letters, 26 letters of the alphabet. Okay. Doesn't mean that when you make a sentence, you must make a sentence with the 26 letters of the alphabet.
No,
Exactly. I've answered the question.
small.
Get out. So so these things are common, okay? That's the reason why I'm actually taking it down to break it down for you, okay? When we are done with these basic stuffs, there are other things we should could learn, but these are the basic things that is every contract we have. Every contract you see, you must see function, you must see could see struct, you see enums, you see emits, you see other little keywords like you see constructors, you see other little keywords like message dot sender, dot balance, all those plenty things that you can actually go to Ethereum or Solidity documentation to go and grabs and all that. But you have to know how to arrange your contract, now to know how to use some of most of these things, okay, so that you can every other thing is built upon these things, these fundamentals. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Now I haven't talked about structs, so let's rush and do enums. Sorry, I said enums, but sorry, structs. I haven't known enums. Let's talk about struct very briefly. Okay, so struct is also, is anyone saying something? Okay,
Yes, Miss Bella. Bella.
so so who is talking, please?
I'm not
Miss
talking.
Bella.
That's my opinion. There's no problem here with you, sir. Hmm.
I didn't get you, sorry.
I'm with you, sir. We are with you, sir.
All right. All right. So what are structs? So structs are Solidity. Struct is Solidity oriented programming, other oriented programming language like Java and C++. So introducing us to Solidity, I said that Solidity borrows Java and C++, and even C. Okay. So yeah, in class, struct works like, all right, that allows you to group related variables together under a single name. Okay, you can group different variables together and save them under a single name and then call that name as a data type. All right, so you can store multiple data type under one name. Okay, you can put them together. All right, so let's say, so we'll let's start with the contracts. So let's call it learn structs, for instance. All right, so, oh, sorry, my bad. Okay, so the struct syntax, your, let me call this guy, okay, say structs, and then the name. So it what will I call it now? Let me call it user, or should I call it, let me call it user, or let me call it person. Let me call it person. And so this person is going to have, let's say, name. Okay, so it's going to have a name. All right, it's going to have age. So let's say age. Let's create a bool. Let's say, okay, let's create like a student profile. Okay, so let's say, or a student of this class. So let's say is students. So that means this data type is going to get yes or no. Is the person a student or not? Or the person a male or female or not, or something like that. Okay. All right. So let's, okay. So this is how to create a structure, a struct. All right. Now the just as the way enums means enumeration, that's how struct also means structure. All right, so structure is a short form for structs. So again, so struct is structure, structure is struct. Okay, struct is structure, structure is struct. So that is it. All right, so this is how we can write our struct. So we saved our name. Okay, so name is a string literal, and age is a unsigned integer type, and then bool is a boolean type. Okay, so everything now is saved under one umbrella called person. All right, so let me call it student. Let me not call it person. Let me call it student, since we are creating a student profile. Let me call it student. Okay, all together. So we understand how to write struct um structure. Okay, this is syntax, how to write a struct. Okay, this is how to write a struct. So that's it. So let's write a function to see how the struct really works. Okay, let's write a structure, a function to see how the struct really works. Now I would like to store my guys. Now you see that this is going to be like a set of data. Okay, it's going to be like sets of data. Okay, let's say for example, you are creating like a back end for receiving new user. So you collect their name, their phone number, their email. Okay, so each user has its own profile. So we are creating a profile for a student now, and we are collecting name, age, the name and the age of the student. Okay, we are collecting them as the profile. She will get. So we are getting them. So we are going to be storing them inside like an array. We're going to store them as an array so that what we can you hear me?
I want to ask a question.
Please do.
For something like an email now, an email has both letters and numbers. So which data type can we use?
You use string literals. Yeah. Okay, so let's call this guy person and public. Oh, sorry. I'll change it to student. Call this guy student. All right. And then public. Let it be public. So what is going to be the name of this our array? Hmm? Let's call it people. Call it people, for instance. Now, normally your array, you write you ints, Abby, and they'll say, let's say, if you want to put visibility, no problem. If you don't want to put visibility, let's say we call it list of people. Now, what's the similarity between this guy and this guy? You see that this guy has a data type here, yeah? And we are using student, which we created here as our data type. She gets. So we see that we have a data type, we have a array, and then we have the name of our array. So remember when we're talking about arrays, we said that an array can only consist of similar data types. Okay, an array is a series of similar data types. So you can put name, you can put phone, you can put name, you can put integers, bool, and string inside an array. Just like this guy now, you can't put three of them inside an array. So the best way we can do so that we can get these three of them in an array is to put all of them in one data type and then call that data type and use that data type as an array so that our array can store different data types. You understand? So we use these structs now to get different data types, point them together. You understand? Store them together, and then we can now use them in our array. We can now use them together as one. Okay, so that is why I said that. Different ways of declaring data types. Okay, customizing our own data types in Solidity. So remember that. All right, so I haven't declared our array, so we can now start writing our functions to start getting our names and then displaying our names so that when we say one, this person will show, say two, this person, this kind of stuff. You understand? All right, so let's get into business. So write function. Okay, so want to add person or to want to add students. So what this function does is to add students to this our array. Okay, we want to add student to this array so that our array will have more than one student. Okay, and these students will have these informations. All right, so what are we getting? What are we getting? We are getting string. Oh, we're getting name. Excuse me. We are getting Ewins, age, Boo. Yeah, we're getting is students. All right, so we are not getting any inputs, so we'll just make this guy public. All right, so what are we going to do next? So we are going to be declaring another new variable, and then we are going to call that new variable new student. So we are going to be adding this function is to add new students to our array. Okay, this guy now is to add new students to our array. So we are going to call this data type our data type, which is students. All together, we are going to call it our data type, which is students. So we're going to say students memory. We call it new students. All right, so this new student is equal to students, which we called before. And then this student is going to be getting these guys that are up, which is our name, our age, and our bow, which is a student. Okay, so
This
now
one
we are
is
going
not.
to, sorry?
This struct is not entering. No.
Don't
For
worry,
real, not
don't worry,
learn it.
don't worry.
Like
We'll come back.
uh,
That's how N did not enter, and it later entered. We wrote together. Okay, so just follow me. Let's do it together. Okay, so just follow me. Even if you don't understand, just follow me. Don't be distracted. Just follow me. Okay, look at what I am doing and listen to me. All right, so we are going to be pushing. Remember how we push our array. Okay, so we're going to say students dot push. And what are we pushing? We are pushing new students into students. Okay, so let's say students. No. New students. New students. Okay. Sorry, something is wrong. We are not pushing. We are pushing this guy, new student, into people. This guy that we have here. This guy. So that's what we are pushing. So let's call this guy people. All right. So we are pushing new student into this array people. Okay. So we should understand that. So what we are doing here is to declare our local variable. Okay, we are declaring our local variable new student. And then what we are doing here is we are pushing the data to get from our local variable into our array, which we've already created. Okay, so that is that for that. All right, so the next one is to get what we have actually pushed. All right, so say function. Now we can say get students. All right, so now we are going to be getting students using their index. All right, so we are getting students with their index. Index in the sense that the first student we are going to put in is going to be 0. The second student is going to be 2. Sorry, 1. The third student is going to be 2. You understand? So if we put in 5 students, if I put in 4, the fifth student will appear. If I put in 2, the third student will appear, just like that, just like that, just like that. So that's why we're going to be imputing our index. So I'm going to call this one index. Index. Yeah, wow. Okay, so this is so public view returns. So what are we returning? We are returning these 3 data types here. You are returning string, we are returning uint, and we are returning bool. Imagine we have string, string, string. We'll be returning string, string, string. Okay, so we'll return uint. Okay, let's start with string. Return string, string memory, return
So why can't we just return
bool.
student since it's like the class name?
No, 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 no. It works differently here. Okay, it works differently here. If you say you are returning students, you it will flag you undefined. Okay, so remember how we did it here. Understand? System students memory. Okay, so we are returning people. Okay, so this guy is going to be equal to, no, let's call this guy student with small letter. Okay, so student with small letter will be returning student with big letter, and this guy will be returning index, returning the index. Sorry, so this guy will be returning the index. So we have this like this. This index we already called. All right, so we declared our state variable again. Now this, oh, sorry, our local variable again, and then we can now return what we've declared. Okay, we can now return what we've declared. We can now say people. The people. Okay, so say, let's say students dot name, comma, students dot age, comma, students dot
So you,
age.
you would explain all this again, right? You run through it again, right?
Yeah, yeah, sure. I will run through it again.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so let's see. Got an error. Okay, think. Okay, let me look through this guy again and see what I've done wrong. As students, we have okay, so we declare our state variable here. This is called people. All right, here we said the students, new students. Okay, let me see what we have here. The constructed Okay, so let me this guy. Okay, all right. So okay, so um, let me just deploy it and then I'll run through it and tell you what I've done so far. So let me choose learn structs. Okay, and the contract and then deploy. Okay, so I have students. So let me say this one is I'm a car. Her age is 18. No, her age is 24. So she's a student. True. To transact, I transact is going to go through. All right, so if I come and get students and let's say I put 0, I'm going to see Amaka, she's 24 and she's a student. So if I add another name, let's say Chidera, Chidera is a small girl, let's say she's 15. Yeah, she's a student. Okay, let me say Betty. Betty is 20. Betty is not a student. Okay, so let's say we have John, enough of the ladies. John is 34 to go to be a father. Is old enough to be a father, so it's not a student. So let's say we have um Esther. Esther is 21. So let's say true. How many students have we added to this guy? Okay, so let's say 5. There's no student in 5. Let's say 4. Oh, Esther is the 5th student I added. So you see that Esther is 21. Okay, let me say 2. You see that Esther is the third person is Betty, who is the first person we stored. Amaka. Amaka is 24 and it's true. Okay, this one is Chidera is 15 and it's true. John is 30.
Sorry, please, I can't hear anything again. Am I the only one?
No, fine girl.
No, so I can't hear anything.
He's not saying anything. He's not saying anything.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So where did you hear me last?
After deployment.
I said that first of all, I created my created my data structure and put in this document. And then secondly, you know how to create your struct here.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Now I created an array. You know how to create an array here. This line of code. You know how to create this line of code. Now the difference between this array I commented here and this array is that instead of using a normal data type, I use this struct as my data type for my array. Why? Because remember we defined array as a sequence of data of the same type. A sequence of data of the same type, or a group of data of the same type. You understand? So if there's going to be any data in an array, it's going to be data of the same type. Let's say string. All the data in that data type in that array will be the data type of string. If it's unsigned integer, every data in that array is going to be unsigned integers. If it is bool, every data type in that array is going to be boolean. All right. So how do we bring all these guys together in an array, since arrays cannot carry different types? So we use the struct, and then we use our struct as our data type for the array so that the array can carry more than one data type. Okay, so the data types are going to be under the umbrella of the structure that we have created, which is this structure we have created here, the struct. And then we now wrote our array and use our struct student as our data type for the array. All together. Now back, sure you understand this side of the code and this side of the code. Do you understand this side of the code and this side of the code?
So why are we using people?
Yeah. Very
Now
good question. I wanted to ask that.
what we are using is Jesus. Okay, we can use names here. We can use students. We can use users. We can use list of students. Okay, we can use list of students here. You understand? I just use people here as naming this array. Okay, we can use any name as long your name synchronizes with what you are doing. It won't not, as long it will not confuse you. That's why naming is very important. But you can use um list of students here. Okay, you can use list of students here. Okay, so that is it. It's not compulsory. It's not of any. It's just a naming convention. So I named my array people, and I made my array public. And it's not compulsory. You should make your array public. Okay, so you can remove this guy here, and it will still work very well. Okay, your code will still work very well. All right, so now, sometimes it's not even necessary to even make this guy public because we're already calling it here already. So no need to make this guy public. So we wrote our array, and then we call it a name here. And then after calling it a name, and then we wrote a function to get our array. All right. We wrote a function to get our array. And how do we write the function to get our array? So the structure of the function is this. What we do is here we wrote an input, we declare our our local variable, and then we pushed our variable, our local variable, into our array. Okay, so with the help of our data structure, with the help of our data structure, which is this guy here. Understand? Struct is different, is simply data structure. With the help of this our data structure that we have structured here, which is name, age, and each student of different data types. Okay, we created an input. All right, so we said that this function is going to collect name, it's going to collect age, and it's going to collect a boolean um input. Okay, now mind you, if you don't have this input here, it's going to flag an error. Okay, so whatever you are calling, whatever data type you are calling, the everything you have in there should be here. You understand? Should be calling it. And one thing is that data types are not enums, and structs are not like constructors. You can have multiple um structs in the contract, and you can have multiple constructors in a contract. There's something called nested structs. That means you can even have an enum inside the struct. Okay, you can have an enum inside the struct function. You get? All right, so our time is fast spent, so let me just explain this very well for you to understand. So this guy is this one is um declaring a local variable, which is a local variable is what? Which is new students. Okay, so this new students are our local variable. All right. Now, how do we declare our local variable? Just as the way when you come here and say, let's say for example, you're writing a very simple contract. So let's so that you're not looking at if is magic. So let's say you're writing contract, let's call this contract GG. Understand? Okay, so let's say you declared a state variable here and you call it age and okay, and you said that this okay, you declare this state variable here, which is empty, and then you wrote a function. You understand? You wrote a function to get an. You understand? So you wrote a function to get an, and then you said that um uint the input is going to be an, for example. All right, you make this guy public, and then you come here and then say that an is equal to an. Okay, so we are saying the same thing. So if I run this contract, say that the contract doesn't have any issue. Why? Because we are saying that this one is a state variable, and then we declared our input here, and we are coming here to say that this our input is this guy. You understand? Now, mind you, this our state variable, this and here, we don't need to come and say uint again. Okay, we don't need to come and say uint again because we already know that this and here is a state variable and is of this data type here. So we are calling it here is of this data type. Okay, so we calling it here is of this data type altogether. But when you are calling using a customized data type, yeah, if you're using a customized data type, you always declare your data type. All right, you declare your data type. So we are saying that this guy, this new student, which is um taking the place of this guy, okay, is student of this data type struct. All right, so we are saying struct, and we are saving it in memory. So because of time, there are different between there's two keywords, two storage keywords. We have the memory and we have the storage. Okay, we have memory and we have storage. So memory is like your RAM in your phone, while storage is like your hard disk. Okay, memory is like your RAM in your laptop, and then storage like your hard disk in your laptop. What does that mean? That memory stores temporarily while storage stores permanently. Okay, so that's just that. And over time, I'll have to explain it better in subsequent class, but just know that when we use memory, we are storing it in a temporary location. And if you guess rightly, memory and storage, which one is more gas efficient? You will know that memory is more gas efficient because the storage is temporary, okay, while storage is permanent altogether. All right, so you can also, when you declare your struct like this, you are actually is the default is storage. Okay, so the default is storage when you are declaring like this, the default is storage. You can manually declare it as memory. Okay, you can manually declare it as memory, and that flies as well. All right, so but here we are using it as memory because we are only going to be using it while as long as this function is working. So when this function is not active, we are not using the data, so we're not storing it. You understand any of this stuff here? So that's why we're using the memory storage. Okay, so we are using this our data type. We are saying that this new student is of this data type, and this new student is equal to student, which we are calling this student from this guy here. Okay, so we are saying that this age is this name is equal to this name, this age is equal to this age, this student is equal to this is student, the way we said this and is equal to this and here. Okay, so that is it. And then we are now pushing this student. Now we can just say that this student is equal to this student, but we want to push it in an array. So we are storing this guy inside this guy. Now we are storing this our input inside this new student, and we are putting this new student inside our array. So we are pushing this new student inside our array. Let me say that again. These inputs that we are getting here, we are putting it inside our new student. Okay, and so we said that this new student is of this data type, and we said that this our input is of this data type, which both of them are students, okay, of the students data type. All right, so we are now pushing this our new student, which we have saved all this our input inside, and we're now putting it inside our array. Okay, so that's why when we come here, we now say that we are linking. Okay, in our next class we're going to talking about mapping. All right, so I'm going to revisit this example or our struct example, and then we're going to be using mapping where you don't have to go through this route. You just have to use mapping, and then with an address. Okay, you can save these data to an address, and you will say that this data is to this address, this data is to this address, and whenever you call that address, the data will. That is it. Okay, it's the same thing with when you say public address, you take your public address, your public key, sorry, and then you take it to a scan and you put it there, and you say that the the balance and the whatever of the address we show. That's the same logic we use in writing smart contract for tracking wallets. Okay, so you just link, you just map map your wallet to whatever. So we'll get to that in our next class. But here we are going to we are linking all these our we are getting our information via the index. Okay, so we are going to be imputing the index here, and it's going to be returning these our guys. So what this line of code is saying is that I'm getting index as an input, and when I get the index, I'm going to return these guys. I'm going to return string, I'm going to return uint, and I'm going to return bool, which is age, name, age, and a student, representing the data types of these our inputs. Okay, so we said that these students, and then we named, say that this first function, we created a state variable, which is new student, and the second function, we created another state variable, which is student. The first one is new student, the second one is student. Remember, I said that state variables cannot be called outside the function. Sorry, local variables cannot be called outside the function. And to make it easy, variables cannot be called outside the curly brackets they are called. Okay, so we see that this guy is called within this curly brace, and then it cannot be called outside this curly brace. This one cannot be called outside this curly brace, but this one can be called outside this curly brace. Why? Because this one, if you create a state
So I
variable,
can't see your mouse where it's navigating to. I'm just saying this one cannot,
can't see
this
my
one
mouse.
cannot.
Okay, like if you requirement of your contract. So you can be called anywhere in the contract. Why? Because it's within the confinement of the contract. But if you declare a local variable, it's within the confinement of the function within that's local variable, sorry, and it cannot be called outside. So we declared a local variable here, which is new student, and we declared another local variable here, which is student. And then we are saying that this student is getting information from people. Now, these people is this array, you understand? And then we are returning this guy. We are saying that this student return name, this student return age, this student return a student. Okay, so that is that. For that, it's like when you write another function here, and then you call the function get an. Oh, sorry. um no, this one should be set an. So this one should be get an. All right, that you just write public view returns, where you're returning uint, which is the variable type. We know this one, Sha. I'm just trying to take us from what we know to what we don't know, and then just say return. You return what? You're returning and. All right, so see that this guy flies. All right, so that is it. The same thing here, and you say this guy, this guy. You can come here and say, you can come here and say, okay, so it is almost the same thing with what we are doing here, just that the only thing we are doing here is that we are tracking this our and with our index. Okay, so we are saying working with an array, but this one we are working with array. All right, so we are saying that we are using the index of our array to get the values of our students. So we are storing this guy inside our student, and so that when you return student, you return what the position of the array you are calling. Any question? Sorry, our time is fast spent. Any question? Okay. Tomorrow we'll start with structs. Okay, so I'm going to do another example with structs. But let me give you something to work.
Tomorrow on Friday.
Is that what?
Tomorrow, I'm asking, is it not Friday again?
What's Friday, abeg? What's happening on Friday?
You said tomorrow.
Oh, sorry. I like using tomorrow and yesterday. Sorry, my bad. On Friday, we'll look at struct. We'll start with struct. We'll get a a we'll get one more examples and just question our heads with struct. Okay.
I thought we're already entering weekend sef.
You say?
I thought we're already entering weekend.
It's because of all the structs now. It's winding our head.
Okay, all right. So let's write okay, let's do something on enums since we understand enums very well. So let's do something on enums. Okay, so let's play a little with enums. Okay, let me call this enums exercise. So this one is very simple. It's not different from what we did in the class. Okay, so create a contract, call it choose color. No, let's call it color palette. Is my palette correct? Is my palette correct? Can you
Me
see
too,
it?
we did not go to school oo.
Don't write anything. We'll go and do it later. It's not the English that matters.
Why are you guys sounding frustrated? Calm down now. It's not difficult. I've not started already. Everybody is sounding frustrated. Okay, create a contract, call it color palette. Okay, so let's create okay, create a custom data type with the values blue, black, white, and pink. Okay, all right. Okay, right number 3 should be write a constructor to initialize color choice to be white. All right, so no, first of all, declare a state variable. Okay, this one should be all right. Okay, declare a state variable, call it color choice. Declare, I don't know if my spelling is correct. Declare a state variable, call it color choice. Write a
Then
constructor to
somebody say your spelling is not correct oo.
eh?
Why your declare is not correct, but just continue.
Oh yeah,
We
oh
already
yeah,
know it's not correct.
oh yeah, now correct me. Sorry, I want to go DE.
have not do assignment. You are correcting your teacher. Well done.
That's why I say you should leave it now. There's no need.
Ah, all right, no problem. Okay, so uh, declare your initial variable.
It's okay now.
All right, declare your initial variable to be um white. Okay, okay, sorry. Declare a state variable to call it color choice, and then write a constructor to initialize color choice to be white. All right, so the default, okay, to initialize default choice. Default choice to be white, and then the number 5, which is write a function, write functions get, okay, select white, comma, select black, comma, select blue, comma, write the function to select colors, color choices. However you want to do it. And then lastly, that means you're writing 1, 2, 3, 4. You're writing 4 functions to select each color. So you're writing function to select blue, you're writing function to select black, you're writing function to select white, you're writing function to select pink. But the default color is what? Is white. All right. Okay. Um, lastly, write to show choice. All right, so just as the way we wrote an if statement to show our choice here, instead of to be showing index, okay? So I want to lastly write the function to show choices, not index, okay? So just simple. So you're writing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 functions. So that is that. All together?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I want to ask question.
Okay.
Can I ask? Are you done?
Ans. I just remember something.
Okay. I wanted to ask that, like, what's the difference between struct and object?
What is the difference between struct and object?
Because to say arrays accept only a particular type of data, so we use struct to be able to uh, input different kinds of data inside the array. So what's the difference between object and struct?
I said that, okay, you said I said um struct is used to impute different data into an array. Yeah? And now you're asking what's the difference between object and struct. Hmm?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. The difference between objects and structs is that not okay, every struct is an object, but not every object is a struct. Okay. Let me say, for example, when you are writing a struct, you are writing a structure of an object. Now, I remember when I started writing when I did introduction to Solidity, I said that Solidity is object oriented programming, true of us. And then I said that when you are writing Solidity, you are writing static objects, and when you are writing functions, you are making these objects to work. Okay, so I said, for example, I made use of the door, for example, and I said the door is is an object. Okay, and when you write a function open and close, you are working on the object. Let's say, for example, I write a struct. Now the struct is a class, and this class, it comprises of objects of different forms. Let's say you have a classroom, and this classroom is comprised of different genders, different ages. Okay, now boys and girls of different ages. Now all those boys and girls are the objects in that class. Okay, including the tables and the chairs, they are objects in that class. Okay, so when you write a struct is like creating a class with different objects inside of it. All together.
Okay,
All together.
okay. I said, okay, I understand the other part. We're about to explain object because oh, you can't hear me.
You said what? Sorry.
I say I understand the first part of explaining struct because you say struct is an oh god, can I go? I don't remember what you said. You said all structs are object, but not all objects are struct. Is that am I even correct? I don't even or something like that. And you're trying to explain struct.
Okay.
So now I'm waiting for your explanation for object where everything will balance.
And now, objects are the elements in it. Now, objects are the elements you use now in creating your stuffs. Like, let's say, for example, like we are creating uh wallet, for example. Yes, done. This wallet now, the wallet is a class, but inside that class are elements that makes up the wallet. So those elements are the what? Are the objects. Are you still confused? Like
I'm
I said,
getting confused.
see, I said that we have written, oh, we wrote struct here, Abi. This one now like this now is a class. Okay.
Yes.
Now
Mm.
inside this class now, we have uh name, we have age, we have a student. This name is a what? An object. This age is a what? An object. This is a what? An object. That's why we could use this object in these our functions. We use these objects to create.
I can't hear you. You're cracking. I can't hear you. Can you guys hear him or it's just me?
It's not just you.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Just now I
Yeah.
started hearing you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, 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 yes.
Come in this class, but that's the assignment. I will be dropping this assignment now on the group as we are talking like this now. I'll be dropping it on the group.
I
So
think for you to understand, you have to like understand arrays very well. That is my own view.
in fact, you can actually write struct. The reason why arrays is even coming inside that struct is so that we can store our struct somewhere. Okay, like we are gathering it as arrays, you understand? But you can actually write a struct and just um come up with like a single struct, you understand? Just in an array. It's very simple. It's just this particular code right now to remove this struct, remove this array, remove this guy variable here. All right, declare a state variable and save your stuffs inside the state variable so that when you call your state variable, this guy it will show. All right, so while we are using this array so that we can store our guys inside the array. But it is very important you have an understanding of arrays. Very, very important you have an understanding of arrays. I don't know how to emphasize how much you have an understanding of arrays. You'll be needing it in your career. You'll be needing it in your career. Very, very important you have an idea,
Your
have an understanding of arrays. Are we together? Let me stop recording. This video is already too long. I think my system is joking right now.